Hi and welcome to another edition of Steve Chats Wrestling right here on youtube.com. I'm going to take this video just to give my opinion basically on the wrestling industry, really, the product right now, what we watch on our television screens each and every week. Just give my viewpoints and what I do and don't like about it. There's more don't likes about it than do at the moment. I feel that wrestling in general, really, it just seems a bit tired when you watch it. There doesn't seem the same effort put in as there was when there was competition in the Attitude Era or the Monday Night Wars with WWE and WCW. I feel WWE goes through the motions a lot recently. I don't think they're helped though. I mean, you can look at the creative, and we do criticise creative a lot. And for me, it's hard with the creative side of things because they don't always give us a great show to watch, and we're quick to have a go. But at the same time, you have to look at it and say, well, they're not helped a lot. There's been so many bits of bad luck the last couple of years. There's been so many injuries, and it does beg the question of really, are these injuries a lot of things to blame? Is this why they're afraid to book so far in advance? A lot of things seem off the fly. A lot of last minute changes seem to happen. And I think that comes across on the screen as well when we're watching it. I don't think we're getting the best product that we could be getting. I don't think that it looks like things are being planned too far ahead when they're being done. It does look a little bit like through the progression of the Royal Rumble, the build-up, that there could be some matches looking like they could be starting to take shape for what's going to be ahead. But still, we're not 100% convinced with some of those so far. But yeah, I think injuries are a big part to, we dig the creative team, but injuries are playing their part as well. But saying that, with the talent that they've got, they could be doing better. You could turn around and say that a lot is seemingly focused around the main event. There's a 3-hour show, and to be focusing on one feud throughout the length of that time, and especially the pace of it as well, it seems like we're watching a tortoise on television these days with WWE. You know, a lot seems to be, you can watch the first Raw, you can watch the last Raw, you can miss everything in the middle, and you kind of know what's happened with the whole feud. I understand that the product is a PG, and you know, with kids watching as well, they don't want to lose the kids too much, but at the same time, you know, you need to make it go a little bit further because it's hard to watch with all that going on. You look at parts of the product as well that maybe could be improved. I think the commentary is a bit of a struggle at the moment to listen to at times. To say that, actually, though, the NXT commentary that you watch for their weekly product and their takeover specials, they're actually very good with what they're doing. I think they're bringing up some good, shall we say, novice or building up to becoming more up to date with their commentary teams. Hopefully these guys will take over and be a part of the future Raw and Smackdown teams. I'm a big fan of Corey Graves. I think he's got a lot to offer. The new guy on Smackdown, who I can't pronounce his name, which is not good, so I'm going to do a Jerry Lawler and call him MR. He seems really good. He's got a lot of promising for the first couple of weeks. Can only hope that he's going to build on that. But you look at the Monday Night Raw lineup with Michael Cole and JBL, and there seems to be a lot of jabs and a lot of jibes at certain talents maybe that might be under hot water, maybe. I'm speculating. As well, there's a lot of time spent advertising, which of course is very cleverly done, but then sometimes you just want to focus on the match you're watching. You know, if you're watching a great match unfold in front of you, and the guys that we've got at the moment are actually producing, I think, better matches than what we've seen. These guys seem to be able to do all sorts of twists, turns, shapes, and moves that we haven't seen before, and I don't think they're being made as big a deal of as what they could have done. You know, there could be the argument as well with some of these matches that doesn't get these wrestlers over as the wrestlers seem to kick out of anything these days apart from the person's finisher. There could be the argument that in the Attitude Era there was even Ruthless Aggression Era. I remember a match at WrestleMania 19, Stone Cold and The Rock, and both wrestlers hit their finishing move at least twice, 3 times, and always kicked out, so there can be the counter argument for that. Another problem I have with the product is the amount of 6-man tag matches. It's almost every single week we see a 6-man, maybe even 2 6-man tags. Since the Shield came in for the last 2-3 years and 3-hour Raws, we are full of 6-man tag matches. This is something that was done a lot at the end of the WCW days when they were heavily criticised for doing. And it feels a bit of a cop-out main event or cop-out match to throw in. It just seems to be, let's put 2 or 3 feuds together in one and put them together, and that's it. That's a match that will do for creativity and continuation of the story, where normally someone just wins and someone loses, and that's it. There's no real story development. One rivalry that we can look at the moment where it does feel like there's a little bit of development each week is Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose. That match to happen as a last man standing match at the Royal Rumble. You can see actually there is actually a little bit of progression each and every week, starting with the Kevin Owens putting Dean Ambrose through a table about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then the reverse was done on the Raw afterwards with Dean Ambrose putting Kevin Owens through a table. There hasn't been as much through since, but with the stuff that they've done leading up to now, it kind of made sense for a last man standing match, and there was some progression. That hasn't happened a lot, especially with a lot of the minor feuds or other feuds. You used to get a lot of feuds that even in the mid-card you were excited to see, maybe even sometimes more than the main event. Of course, all these guys, I keep going back to the Attitude Era, I know, but it's the best era there's ever been. Stone Cold, Triple H, a Rock, they all went through the mid-card at one point. You look at SummerSlam 98, you know, when it was DX and the Nation of Domination, and there was the Intercontinental title ladder match. One of the best feuds going at the time was Triple H and The Rock. It was must see. It was almost as much see as Stone Cold and the Undertaker in the main event. For me, it was great times, and they need to get back to that. They need to get back to better writing, and better writing also might help this next criticism I have, which is repetition of matches. I mean, this isn't new. I see a lot of people online digging it more recently, or digging at it, shall I say, more recently than what they have before, but it's happened all the way through, even through the Attitude Era. I mean, there was multiple times you see Stone Cold versus Kurt Angle through the end of 2000 through to 2001. That was a constant match. You saw at least every 3 to 4 weeks you saw it, because there's Raw, Smackdown, pay-per-views, but they always change, mix things up. I mean, there was a change of face and heels through that spell, and the circumstances always changed, and I think that is a problem, because a lot of the times now circumstances don't change. It always just seems to be, and the main event this week is something we've seen before. The amount of times in the last few weeks we've seen the Dudleys versus the Wyatt family, and as well the results don't really ever seem to change either. You look at the results and I think the Dudleys have won 1 tables match and the rest has been Wyatt victories. It doesn't matter who it's been of the Wyatt family, it's always been a Wyatt victory. Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose has been another match that's been well overplayed, and Seth Rollins I think has won more times than not, almost every time. So I think that goes to show that they need to mix up a little bit and maybe be a bit more creative, maybe spend a little bit more time focusing on the matches rather than always advertising, although we do understand you do need to advertise your product. It's good business sense to do. But those are my, I suppose, critiques, and maybe way going forward that they could improve the product in 2016. I do think there are some signs of life with Vince McMahon coming back on the TV, that things maybe have slightly improved since the turn of the year or since TLC. I do think though maybe the last couple of Raws have been slightly lackluster again, almost as if we're used to having Vinny back on the screens. But yeah, hopefully as Mania season goes on, hopefully things should get better. And I think a return now of Triple H is desperately needed and will make things more interesting in the main event scene. Hopefully as well we can focus more on the mid-card and see some more stories develop throughout the show really, because it makes things more intriguing. One of the pros I'll give before I leave, I think, is the Divas division. I think we should start to call it women's wrestling. I did say it was going to be a pro, it started as a con. But yeah, it should be the women's championship, it should be the women's division again now, because the Divas has had its time. But I think a lot of their matches have massively improved. The NXT ones that have come up have really improved the division, and actually sometimes I think their stories have been more compelling than the men's, so I hope they do keep that up. One last critique I'll have before I go is the amount of face and heel turns actually for one of our divas, if you want, his Paige. It seems she's come back on Raw as a face again. She was a heel to the latter stage of her feud with Charlotte, and then was a face before that in Team PCB. You don't want to have her. She's done it a lot where she's been face heel, face heel, face heel. We don't want it to be a big show. Paige is an asset on the Divas roster, and she should remain either face or heel for a lengthy spell. She's been face a lot so maybe she should stick with the heel for the time being. But yes, that's been my opinion of the current product in the WWE. This has been a bit of a longer video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, watching it through. There'll be more videos on the way on why Roman Reigns shouldn't win the Royal Rumble, and also my Royal Rumble predictions, where I'll give you my prediction for the Royal Rumble winner and the card, and even the build-up as well. Thank you for watching, and if you like, then please subscribe and like the video, and feel free to put some comments in the comment section if you have any comments of your own. Thank you very much. This has been Steve's Chat Wrestling here on YouTube.com.